You be trying to answer. You don't.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
But that was the tea.
That was some good tea, and
that's important to know. That's important to know.
I ain't much that supposed to be an archer.
No, but she looked like that type.
So
the party.
Now that bitch, we gotta get to the parties. Look,
not too much.
We got too many topics.
I can't wait for these topics.
Come on.
So the parties. I wrote a whole thing on WHRY. It's still up there on Newsbreak. It's called "The Power and the Hunger." And then put my name in and Google it. You'll find the story. And it's about the parties I went to. I got a lot of access to a lot of these really cool private parties because BNT and me are just like besties now. They had a party on Wednesday that was wonderful. They had a soul food buffet catering.
This is in Philly?
It was in Philly. It was at Coda on Chestnut. 17th and Walnut, 17th and Chestnut area. It was on 17th and Walnut area. That area. Yeah, that club. It was hot as hell, but it was very exclusive, very fun. There was a couple of celebrities there. They have Bilal perform.
Okay, he's from
And then Raheem Sadiq.
Raphael Sadiq?
Raphael Sadiq.
You trying to?
It's been Don't do that. It's been a long time. I didn't deny the talent. I'm just saying it's been a long time. I had to get it together. Deborah Lee was there. She spoke.
What she said?
In the house, and busy drunk. But it was good stuff.
Free liquor?
Free liquor. Top shelf, open bar, buffet, soul food. I was having a Cosmo in my hand. And then, what you say?
I said I need to start calling these networks.
Yeah, for the liquor?
Listen.
He wouldn't
sponsors.
The networking and for the...
Listen, the food was really good. It was by Brown's Kitchen. Shout out to Miss Pat. Wonderful soul food in Philadelphia.
Oh,
they got the catering.
Where is this at? Because I ain't never heard of it.
No, they're not with Miss Tootsie's. I'm thinking everybody's let me stop. They can have relish. If not relish, I like relish. If they ask you to Miss Tootsie's to relish, it's always going to be relish for me.
Miss Tootsie's
and Warm Daddy's is good too. You like Warm Daddy's? I like their brunch.
Because if I don't like it, I like a soul food restaurant.
I like the brunch.
I'm supposed to like your macaroni and cheese. And I'm not a macaroni and cheese.
Alright, I got a place for you. 48th Street Grill. This is new soul food.
That's where we were. Yes, we were there.
Y'all know it's BYOB, right?
No, we didn't know that.
Bring your own bottle and just pop it. I love that place. I live in West Philly.
We went there and drank.
I live in West Philly. I love it. That's like my new favorite place.
Yeah.
Because the place is real chill.
And the grill is real nice, and they got their little outfits.
The chef come out and ask you, did you like the food? Let me tell you something. They're about to be the new best.
They let us sample their food. Like, that shit was good.
It is.
I think you took some food.
The jerk chicken.
I met somebody from Grindr there.
You be on Grindr? That's why you have a problem. Actually, black.
I want to see this.
What black person be on Grindr?
I want to see this.
That's why you be having these problems. Because anybody's on Grindr.
I haven't seen Michelle's face on that.
Well,
you ain't never seen me on that.
Okay,
and
so
you
that was
never.
So was you joking?
Yes.
Okay, good.
He thought you was from real.
I was hoping you was. I was like, listen. I've heard too many tragic stories.
From Bryant?
I have friends who've been, the ones that don't know.
Like catfish, robbed.
Catfish, robbed.
See, I don't play that.
Listen, I had a friend one time had somebody come in their house.
In their house?
Don't put it in. They had someone over for, I guess, a booty call.
Well, they deserve to be robbed.
They went and made that
person.
make them a drink. They went inside to get a drink. To make this person a drink, trying to make a cocktail. Why they come back in?
And the person
took their laptop and their cell phone.
Left, right.
How that fast?
Because that dummy was.
Because that person could rob because a robber. I told them a robber knows. When a robber comes to your house, they're looking at where your stuff at. They're looking around.
That's like when that guy got that guy downtown. And he took him to all those fucking ATMs. I don't have that much money in my account to go to 10 different ATMs. By the time we left that first one, that next one was insufficient funds.
I feel like these banks should have like a little button that if somebody's about to attempt to rob you, click on the button to let them know so it can freeze their account.
He took him to like 10 different
ATMs. Put a code, a robbery code, bitch.
Yes, somebody.
Yeah, a robbery code.
You know what? I just came around here. This pin degree is gonna do 1,000 things for me, man. Cause that's a movie though.
When that guy used to have Martin was the ninja, and the guy beat him up.
Oh yes, outside the bank of Detroit.
And he went to the bank ATM and down.
Dragonfly Joe, bitch.
So that happened. So the party. The only party that really got BT was hot mess. Fun, but just hot. So many people there. Trevor Noah from the Daily News was in there.
Who? Oh,
Trevor
I
Noah.
like him, the little South African.
Yes.
Was what's his name? My friend from CNN that now works at BT. The light-skinned guy with the pretty house. Wait, I can't think of his name.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
I thought he worked for ABC now.
He does not left BT no more. Oh,
yeah.
I was mad when he went to BT.
I haven't seen. Well, he's upgraded, I guess.
He's with ABC.
I felt like I'm sorry, no shade to BT,
no shade to BT.
But I feel like when he left CNN and went to BET, he downgraded.
Well, I think the money was higher, and let me tell you something. Let me put this right. From my experience with BET thus far, it's been wonderful. They pay me what I want, and they allow me to write about the things I want to write about. And I feel like it's all about who's there, not so much about what you do. There's some people that come to these different major networks, and they sell themselves cheap. They go in there, they don't have a plan, they don't have an idea, they don't have a pitch, and so then they go there and they hope that these companies will give them something. And a lot of times, no shade to some people who have had TV shows there and it's flop, is that they expect those producers to know what's a good fit for them rather than make the fit for themselves. So I will say this, no company necessarily can ruin you unless you have some participation in it. So I think for TJ Holmes, I think he just thought, oh, I'm going to BT, they're giving me good money, they're gonna make me a star.
Right.
No, you gotta know that no matter what company you go into, you should in the back of your mind know what you're bringing to the table. Ooh. And so that's what that's kind of how my mentality is. Okay.
Well, BET hasn't had a good news show since Tammy Smiley.
I agree, but they're doing some new stuff. They got Melissa Harris Perry now doing some stuff with them.
Really? Because she needs to be on there every day. I was on it at 5 o'clock.
I met her at BT. I met her during the DNC. She was doing a special correspondent for them. I knew that Mark Lamont Hill was there, but I didn't see him. He was there. There was some other people that was there, but those are the two standouts that were really pushing the DNC.
So how do you like Joanne Reed on MSNBC? If you watch MSNBC.
Oh, I do. I
love her.
I like her. She's phenomenal. She's very phenomenal.
I think she's much more tough than what's her name? Melissa Harris Perry was.
I think Melissa Harris Perry did well.
She had like fun topics and stuff.
Tamron Hill was
I like her too.
She was there. She was there. When that Scott Bano encounter, that was amazing.
Yeah, she got them together.
So the parties again was great. The big note party I want to talk about specifically was when Cory Booker stood some people up. So I got the memo the night that he did that great speech. That was like on Tuesday night. It was Monday night. It was Monday night because Michelle spoke too. Cory Booker said a great speech. There was a memo going around that his staff was having a reception party, private party reception party at this place called Tiki, which is this new bar in the neighborhood. That's like right there, like on 13. You pass up. It's like right before. It's between Chestnut and Walnut. Over there by Barbuzzo and a little small shop.
Oh, so it's on a small street.
Yeah,
like
a small street. Yeah. Like one of them South something streets. You know how that is. I hate those streets. So they had this special event there, party. Now, Cory Booker's staffers were there, so that's how news legit. People from the Congressional Black Caucus, elected officials, local people, city hall people was in there. Very, very in there. Very popular. Hawaiian themed, was the bar's Hawaiian themed. Get in there, and we're like, the party starts at 10, the party's gonna be over at 2. By the time it's 10 o'clock, he's on TV speaking. But I was like, I know he's not going to come at 10. He's going to come late. 10 o'clock became 11. 11 became 12. 12 became 1. By the time it was 1:30, I'm like, where the hell is he? Because now the people from the DNC, from the Wells Fargo Center, has now made it. And he's nowhere to be found. We looking out the window looking like Abandoned Children, looking like Frank Ocean's album, right?
Well, why did he staying y'all up?
Well, so then that's what happened. His staffer then told us that apparently the speeches ran too long during the DNC. He was tired. He ended up schmoozing with Michelle, trying to find his next big move. And long story short, he decided to go across to Jersey because he's a senator of New Jersey. He decided to just go to New Jersey with his family. Wasting my time 2016. So I had to, just go ahead and go home, and I was annoyed.
Yeah, I would have been annoyed.
I met Cory Booker before I took a picture with him. He follows me on Twitter. I hit him in the DMs, was like, yo, where you at? I didn't get a response, and it's okay. But I still was, kind of like, damn, that was probably one to be into. Because the other party that everybody else went to, the plebeian party, was at Coda on...
Everybody keep using this spot, Coda.
Coda is trying to be the next thing, but you know another spot that's pretty decent? 1925.
Never been there. 1925 Chestnut?
The one on Chestnut. It's like it's called 1925. The club is called 1925. It's themed like the Flappers.
I think I've been there.
And it's right across from the Sofito Hotel. Over there on like 16th and Chestnut Pine Spruce. Nice new black, it's a black owned, like black brand club. The OG spot, I think, or the OG lounge. Underground. It's by Davio's, where Davio's is. It's underground from Davio's. You know where Davio's is? That popular restaurant, seafood place. It's right underground from there. So it's a new spot. People are talking about it. A lot of the black, elite and politicals are there. So that's where the parties were. But beyond the parties, DNC for me was all I made it to be. I'm now on my second convention this week. Going DC, not the DNC, DC. Hillary's stalking. The National Association, she's going to speak there.
Wow.
National Association of Black Journalists Convention with the National Association of Hispanic Journalists. They're combining forces to throw a convention for us in DC from Wednesday to Sunday. So it's going to be this week.
The 3rd to the 7th.
The 3rd to the 7th. And Hillary Clinton's going to be speaking on Friday. So I'm looking forward to seeing, what Hillary has to offer.
Will the speech be televised or just...
They might televise. It might be like one of them like CNN pop-up things. So I'm looking forward to hearing her. And again. And then seeing who's else going to be there. Because it's going to be all the black journalists. So, probably Joy Reid, Tamara Hall, Melissa Harris Perry. I'm trying to think of who else on TV. What's his name? The one that... Roland Martin. I saw him. I saw Roland Martin, and he's definitely gonna be there. The other guy from CNN no one likes.
Don Lemon?
Don Lemon. He's gonna probably be there.
He's gotten his black card back.
He has. Well, he got a 10. He cut his hair off. He's doing pretty good. So there's gonna be a lot of them. I'm gonna, of course, be there. Some people from Philadelphia, some of our Philly faves. Some of them will probably be there.
Alex gonna be there?
I don't know.
Have you met her?
Yes, I was on there. Fox 39.
Yes, you bitch. I forgot that face.
3 times.
Wait a minute, I only know about the one time.
I was there for the Justin Timberlake. I was there for 2 back-to-backs, the follow-up and the recap to the Oscars.
That was in
February.
Okay.
When we did the Monster Hollywood event talking about Oscars So White. So they had me on for the 2
That was for
episodes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was for that. So I've been on there. Alex is cool. I've seen her a lot of events.
Yeah, she be out.
She goes out. Her and Mike
every night.
Yes. Yes.
It's not.
Every time you go on your timeline, I don't know. I'm just like, it's like, do I like it? I mean, it's one where it was like to be like a T personality. What's the level? Like, it's not like they can never be like that Beyonce exclusive where it's like you just pop up and what? Beyonce's here. But they have to literally be out because that's how they get people to like them and build a personality and want to watch the show. Because I kind of watch it really for her. I don't really care about much of what's being said, but I just like to just see her.
But it's hard for me to watch Good Day Philadelphia in the summertime because everybody's in reruns and I be sleeping. I'm like, child, I got time for this.
Yeah.
So.
But no, it's good sometimes. I mean, I enjoyed my episode. I thought we did a good job. I felt like they had some good substantive topics to talk about.
So what you think about what Justin Timberlake had to say?
So about the Justin Timberlake thing, I'm personally over it all. Like I'm over it. Like
has he ever even tried to reach out to you?
No, he did not. He did not. And as a white man, he will not because they never do. Did he ever reach out to Janet and give her a good apology? No. So I'm not Janet, so I'm not about to get an apology. So I didn't expect an apology. And I just think like at this point, like he's trying to find so many ways to backtrack what he said. I just said, look, let it go. Like just eventually you'll have that big interview and you'll just have to say you messed up. But instead of you trying to reshift the way you said it and all that crap, who cares? I guess I can say I'm flattered that it's still on his mind and he still have it on his conscience and and it made him possibly a better person. I want to say something real. Well, hopefully it does. You know, they just be saying stuff to get checks nowadays. Whatever. I want to make a clarification. Mikkel is in there waiting, but maybe it's good that I just say it for the audience without him. The thing that I want to add was that the last episode, people were saying that I was really hard on Beyonce, this and third. He at that time, this is before a lot of stuff has happened. That's changed the last time we talked. It's like been a month since I've been on the show. I was arguing that I feel like an artist like Beyonce could do way more. And people kept saying, oh, she can't do more than what she's already doing. She's done enough. And she has proven this past month that she can do way more. And she's done way more.
Right.
When she shut her website down and made it be about calling the families and the Congress people, she gave information about all elected officials you can call about gun violence. Yep. And then when it happened, a lot of people was telling me, some of the fans was like, see, Beyonce does like, well, she's doing more. I wasn't saying she can't do more. I'm just saying that she wasn't doing. She could do more with it. So she did that. Now there's rumors that she's in the process of making an educational network that's about education networking. Clearly, Beyonce is realizing I may not know much about algebra, but I know someone who does. So what she's doing is what a celebrity should do. Is I may not know personally how to do this, but I have the money and the power and the capital and the connections and the networks and all this to make it happen. And so what she's doing is like, look, I thought this should be an educational channel. No, I'm not a producer. I don't know how to make educational TV, but I got the money. Y'all figure out what to do. That was what I was saying. That's the stuff that Michael Jackson did. That's the stuff that Stevie Wonder has done. That's the stuff that a lot of legendary artists that are trying to be the best thing of our generation did. And I always felt like Beyonce, when it came to that, she was always like half-stepping. It wasn't that she didn't do anything. I just never felt like she was doing enough to claim that like humanitarian title. And so I felt like this month, some of the things she's done, even with her concert, the fact that she had the whole screen reflect the names. Because, a lot of people said that she was always, like, playing around with Black Lives Matter. Like, you kind of give us a little bit, you kind of suggest. But she finally was more direct about what's really going on. So I feel like, and the reason why I thought that the website thing she did was important, personally, and even this education network, but more so about the website thing is that the website, to find your elected officials, that she got that website shut down. Like it crashed because so many people went on there trying to message your elected officials. And the reason why I thought that was special is because this is a moment where I saw her do something that necessarily not give her any money.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like I mean this may sound like shade, but it wasn't like she was selling a t-shirt saying Black Lives Matter and she was getting a cut like Jay-Z was doing Occupy shirts. I don't think people remember that, but he was like Occupy the streets, Occupy the hood. But it was like you're making money off the shirts and it's like that kind of charity profit stuff. Like her album, even though it was a good message, she was trying to make money. This was a situation where she took something that could make her money and she made a sacrifice and said, look, I'm going to shut my website down and we're going to make it about this. And you all are going to go to another website that has nothing to do with me and I want y'all to do the right governmental thing.
Yeah, that's decent. I didn't even know.
That was
nobody even told me.
That was to me the thing that she did that stood out. So I was right. And I'm talking to Casper right now, but I'm just saying I was right. And I just want to clarify to those listening to the show, you're welcome. Because maybe she heard this show, or maybe she just looked around and seen what happened to Justin Timberlake and she's like, I don't want to be Justin Timberlake. I don't want people to look at me as just the person talking about this stuff and not doing enough. So I really definitely feel like, I have to just put that out there to let people know that they thought I was really being biased towards Rihanna and don't even do Rihanna. Y'all like, oh, Rihanna ain't doing nothing. Well, what has Rihanna done? We're not doing that.
Well, what has she done?
I just think that at the end of the day, if you think that Beyonce is the greatest of our generation,
got him.
Not really.
What is she doing? She don't have to, but
I know. I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I think that at the end of the day, Rihanna is in a different.
She really doesn't want to be that role model, and
but neither does Nicki. But neither does Nicki. Nicki disappoints me the most.
Did you hear about Nicki Minaj's brother? When they said his semen sample matched that girl.
Listen, not only that. Not only that.
I'm back.
Yeah, did you get us a new deal?
I was put. I'm sorry, y'all. I was put in charge of planning our family reunion next year.
Oh.
So that was the lady from. to Myrtle Beach, South
Oh,
Carolina.
I like Myrtle Beach.
So yeah, that was a lady at this particular dinner thing that I have set up for us. So I've been doing this for the past week. My family always puts me in charge of big stuff.
Well, before while you was taking your break, we had a concession moment about some things, but you'll have to find out when you watch the soundtrack.
Okay.
No, what happened was that basically in a nutshell, because I don't want to delve into this, because I want to hear about these next topics.
Yes.
So I just basically was saying, like, from the last conversation we had about Beyonce doing more in this past month. I mean, clearly Beyonce's done more.
Of course.
So that's what I was just saying. Like, I'm just saying, like, she's done more that has got me kind of been a little bit, or just a lot more
than what she did before.
Than what she was doing before. What I was trying to say, and I was talking about the website when she changed her website to give people to vote. He didn't know about that, so I was telling about like how I thought that was like cool because it was the one time she did something where she didn't make no money.
Right.
And she, most of the time she does. So
I need all these celebrities use their voice to get people to.
Well, Kim Kardashian did.
But see, that's just like what I said.
She did the same thing after Beyonce because she's always buying out for the next.
Okay.
That's just like what I said. Right. But see, that's just like what I said with in our last video when we were talking about it. I said, you got a lot of these celebrities who use their voices in different ways.
Yeah.
And some people don't usually use their voices vocally. They use it in ways like you said, websites and things like that. Yeah. So, because I kind of learned, not just with Beyonce, but I kind of learned, like I always say to Kevin, like I hate when people look for celebrities to actually say something because sometimes it's not what they're saying, sometimes it's what they're doing.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I just feel like if you can tell me to buy your latest album, I just feel like you can tell me Black Lives Matter.
Yeah. But nowadays, nobody's not telling you to buy their latest album.
No.
They're just releasing it.
But they can put but they be putting tweets, but they're still putting them tweets out and they're still putting them Facebook statuses. So
yeah, but listen,
I don't see how hard
as the public, we're never going to be fully satisfied.
No, I would put this. I wouldn't say
nobody's not
satisfied fully, but I am relieved. But I was relieved that she did. I'm relieved at what she had done.
Yeah, but she probably do a lot more stuff.
Yeah, but we gonna see. But I just was happy that we seen that. Because I feel like I feel like some of these artists be selling themselves cheap. So if you're doing all this philanthropic work, while you out here talking about shooting up and twerking and everything else you're doing, why won't you match that with the good things you're doing? You get what I'm saying? Like I don't know why people like to sell stupidity. Because then people think you're so ignorant and dumb, and then you got to deploy a stack full of receipts over the years to counter that. When you can be counting that simultaneously. I don't want people to ever think 5 seconds I don't give a damn about politics, social issues, or anything like that. You gonna look on my Twitter and see that I'm funny, I throw shade, but I talk about the important issues.
And that's how and you know what's so funny? It's so funny that you said that, because that's how I feel about my social media.
Yeah,
like,
we gonna have fun, you gotta be a whole person.
And I feel like on my Instagram, because that's what I'm mostly on.
Right.
Like, you will come to my Instagram page with anybody who follows me, and you will see me posting memes and things like that, or then you'll see me posting something religious or something spiritual,
like
and
you
then
gotta be a full back.
You know what
so
I mean?
I feel like that's the issue. I just feel like these celebrities aren't as well-rounded and humane or human-like as much as we saw, and I think that's the issue. Because I'm looking at myself like, how much of this commercial shit you gonna keep talking?
Some of them don't even want to be black and recognize that they are black.
Exactly.
A lot of them saying that they're mixed now.
But it's in a world where there's anti-blackness happening in the mainstream hip-hop culture, in our world, in our culture, we as black people who are proud to be black need to step up and pronounce it even louder.
Yeah, but you see,
So I'm happy
I
that she
don't
did
even
that.
want to waste time on Bow Wow, because
No, Bow Wow's not
like
black.
him talking about but my people are mixed and I got people as white as such.
But you was on 106 in Park and getting BET awards for most of your career. Those are the only awards you got next to Soul Train awards. They are all black. Go sit down. Where's your Grammys? Where's your MTV Music Awards? Where's any of those things at? I don't see them. I don't know them, and I've never heard you speak about your mixed ancestry since then. So go sit down. Oh, you on NCIS in this 13th season when it's about to be over? Yes, it got exactly. So I can care less. You was just hosting the BET Awards last year. Not even hosting, like co-hosting.
Was it the red carpet?
The red carpet.
You know about the
in the same tuxedo the year before.
Ooh, you trying it?
Yeah, you did.
You think I'm lying? Use Google. Don't have no respect for people like that.
And Malia Obama, y'all let that girl
leave her alone. No, let me break it down, because we from the Ivy. I went to Penn, and Harvard's an Ivy, and I used to always make a joke that Harvard girls can't dance and Penn girls can get it in. Because, we in Philly too. Now, I wasn't mad about her having fun. Girl, she been in the White House for 8 years. She about to go to Harvard in the next year. Get your life.
Right.
But I was just disappointed with the dance. I'm like you can't dance.
Look, we couldn't hear what she was saying.
No, it's not. She has no rhythm.
It's not
There's no rhythm.
It's not that she don't have no rhythm.
Sasha is my favorite one of the sisters. I'm just gonna say.
It's not that she doesn't
She's
have.
my favorite one of the sisters. Sasha is. Mariah is awesome.
It's not that she don't have no rhythm. We don't know what she was dancing.
You don't even know what the song was, but
Bryson,
she was dancing
no.
and having a good time.
She was dancing to Bryson Tiller.
Oh, okay.
My connects told me she was dancing to Bryson Tiller.
But wait,
Well, can you do the next dance?
but why are people mad? I want to know why are people mad.
You know.
That girl is out of school. She's 18 now.
No, she wasn't doing
Barack is not Barack can do that.
Trying to grind on something.
Well, do you have rhythm dancing?
I do. You should see me.
I just
You
did.
ain't never seen me. That was not me. That was me bringing a rendition. Don't try it. Don't try it.
Sit down.
Look at it. There you go.
She's popping her butt.
What? Just doing this.
She ain't got no butt. That's so what?
Like,
But she was having a good time.
Yes.
Look at her. She was having a good time.
as long as she ain't got no red cup in her hand, I'm happy.
I was just trying to figure out where the Secret Service is at.
They was in.
We know
All
they
I'm
was
saying
there.
is, I don't know what.
Because let me tell you something. Is it me or did anybody else notice that these people that she was around were just like, they were used to her, like they were her friends.
Oh, yeah,
they were her
friends.
friends. And they didn't give a fuck that Malia Obama stayed, because you could tell that they were used to her, because wasn't nobody trying to sneak and take no pictures. They were all.
I feel like one of my friends gonna be like that. They're just gonna be like, hey. Ernest,
that's what I'm
let
talking
nobody
about.
be-
When you can be a celebrity like this, and people around you, your friends,
Yeah.
they don't give a fuck.
No, true.
Because they love you and they don't care.
Yeah.
I think she was
The
having a
Secret
great time.
Service was incognito in this group.
Yeah, they was. They probably dancing with one of the
I think it was kind of black. Right?
Or one of the
You already know.
okay. Or one of them other boys.
Oh my
Anyway,
God.
all I'm saying is, I just, my only critique, I don't know.
Yeah, but let that.
All I'm saying is that she needs to have.
Trust me, if all those people wasn't standing right there, she'd have really let
She
loose.
needs to have a state of emergency.
When she's not at, when
She needs to have a state of emergency.
Or when she is at
She needs to have a state of
her mom and
emergency.
dad is somewhere flying around
State
the
of
world.
emergency. Bring Leanne with Gibson. What's her name? Leanne, the dancer coach. Get her.
Lorianne Gibson.
Lorianne Gibson.
Don't nobody call
that
her.
girl is about to go to school. She ain't worried about no.
Ain't nobody calling no Lorianne Gibson.
And who's still checking for? Never don't do that. Don't do that.
She used to have us all boom
cat.
We played the dance and we was boom cat.
Something. All she needs to know is the basic fundamentals. I'm not saying she got to do a whole choreography.
Boom cat.
But she can teach her a boom cat like that. Just something,
Lorianne had the world boom cat.
Just saying.
Bitch, I was a boom cat, okay? You couldn't tell me
nothing. So I don't know if y'all watch the show The Preachers or if it comes on in your city, but it's a show that comes on in Philadelphia, and they got some good, interesting people that come on. A bunch of 4 preachers and stuff. So
Y'all know about Tweet, right?
yes, that's what I'm
Okay,
getting
good.
to.
I meant
So
to
Tweet, but see, Tweet told us, but actually before she even told us, I told her she was there, and she said, "Well, how the fuck you know?" And I said, "Well, I look at your tweets, and I look at what you post on Facebook. That's how I knew." So she was like, "Oh," but I was like, he's kind of, what you call it?
Get around.
Yeah, but I said it in a nice way, like he's kind of controversial.
Oh, okay.
Because
See, no, that's not how you say it.
Baby,
controversial can mean so many things.
Bitch, let me finish this.
I'm just saying. Girl, your man's controversial. What the fuck that mean?
Because he got baby mama's drama.
That ain't controversy, that's drama.
He got, they saying that he's just not right. He be doing a lot of.
He gets around. He is a harlot.
And then they talking about God ain't through with me yet and still making babies.
Right.
I don't want that.
No, his dick not through with him yet either.
Yeah,
I don't want
I don't
Tweet to
think
be
that's
going through
going
that
on.
situation.
No.
Huh?
But
I
he
don't
was.
think that's going on. Let me tell you something. When she told us at her show a few months ago, I honestly don't know too much about, and I said this to one of my friends the other day, I don't know too much about Jamal Bryant. I know his name, but I don't know I honestly don't know too much about him. I just know that he's a preacher and that's
he gets
about it.
around.
I don't even know that. I don't even know that.
That's what I know him for. I don't know him for.
Well, see, I don't know too much about him.
I have the receipt.
Well, hold on. Well, listen, I don't want them receipts, okay? Because
We ain't gonna do Tweet like that.
We're not doing that. No, that's not what I'm saying.
A few weeks ago, she and I were talking and this, that, and the third, and she was just saying that it was okay that I mentioned the whole her dating Jamal Bryant before this even broke. But I told her because when it comes to people that you are friends with, I just think that there's just a level of respect. And I told her that I did not feel comfortable mentioning that before she or he did. And she understood. You know, she said, but if you do, I don't have a problem with that. I know, Tweet, but I'm not going to, because I wouldn't want nobody to mention who I'm dating before I say it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So there was a level, and even though she gave me the green light to do it, I just was like, no. So when it finally was announced a few days ago, I mean, the DMs. I was like, I ain't had this many DMs about Tweet in forever.
Or in DMs in general.
And I'm just, yeah, you're right, okay? No, you are absolutely right about that, because I stopped all that shenanigans in my DMs. Listen, okay? If it don't shake, rattle, if it don't shake, okay? If it don't shake, rattle, and roll, I don't want to see it. Okay?
Champ, you know what? So yeah.
So I just was like, listen, you know, happy.
So now
you
don't be that friend.
I did.
Let me just get this off. This is the thing. I met her at the Ty Tribbett concert in person.
Okay.
I was there through a good friend of mine who was his publicist, who I've been traveling, BT Awards, all that, this and third. People don't know this, but like a lot of my big journalism gigs started off doing gospel coverage of major gospel artists. I know, it's crazy. So how I heard about him was, I went on the Bobby Jones gospel show. I helped with production stuff with that. I was in the audience. I interviewed Bobby Jones, who's like my biggest mentor, Dr. Bobby Jones.
Oh, your mentor.
And don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because actually, as somebody who has Emmy nominations, awards, and years in the business, you can earn that title. How many people walk around here talking about they got mentors that have no correlation to their career? You tried it, you failed. No, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. Let me just say
Everybody said earlier about
sitting on
mentors and his own.
Yeah,
and all of that.
But now you got a
big
mentor.
mentor.
There has to be somebody, right?
See, me and him
there has to
got
be somebody who's your mentor in the industry.
There has to be somebody who's your mentor in the industry.
Yeah.
But the way you just
Who is your mentor?
Nobody. Because I ain't got no leg to sit on.
I can tell.
Yeah,
You gonna say you trying to
listen. You absolutely right. I'm trying to find my mentor.
Right.
But I ain't gonna bash the mentor to the liaison like you did earlier. And then turn around a few seconds later. But ain't nobody remember what you said.
No.
When you said it and how you said it.
I'm gonna say this, you're not gonna try to overtalk stuff.
No.
This is what I'm gonna tell you right now.
You've been doing that all day.
No.
And I'm gonna get real windy.
No.
This is my show.
This may be your show, but I'll be the guest today.
Listen, Omarosa.
I'm gonna tell you like this. No. Let me break this down. For those who was listening in the beginning of this episode, you all knew that the joke, but you all knew that the reality was that the joke I was making was that there was no mentees, no mentors. That was
shut up the Dr.
Bobby Jones. Yes, the
last night.
Yes,
so I mean, it's
legendary.
He's legendary.
But jump on the party.
Listen, since you had a legendary mentor, can you find me one?
I can. This one, I have a binder full of them. Like,
okay, well, listen. Well,
there is a.
Wait, can we go back to Tweet?
I'm talking about that. So this man, I've heard about him through the grapevine for many years. About him stepping, just from people in the industry. Well, not from him, but his staff. Not from him.
Oh, from the girls.
But from some of his staffers. From the girls' staff.
Around doctor. Around doctor.
I did not say that.
Listen, Kevin, Page and Dr.
There's a lot of gospel artists. There's a lot of gospel artists that he affiliates himself with. Preachers that lay all this show he's done. People who's worked in that circle. Bloggers. I won't say.
But we're not gonna spill Tweet.
I'm not spilling. Listen, everything I'm saying is information.
I'm waiting for him to get to it with Jamal Bryant.
He gets around. During the time in which he was in his marriage, they said that it was said that he was dipping and diving, to which he had an illegitimate child.
Who? But Kevin said that. He's talking about Bobby Jones. I mean, Dr. Jamal Bryant.
Jamal Bryant. But what I'm saying is that this was information that was already being said. And he has a thing for when he goes to events, he's highly flirtatious. My concern is that I like her based on, I met her in person, I think she's a nice woman. I'm just saying to myself that while you going down the track, how do you feel going to events and he's not present and feeling as though because he has a reputation of going to those events, going to network events,
can I say this?
Can I say this?
And can I say this? Who's to say that
you went all the way around the world just to say that? But
who's to say if he's even still?
Well, I'm trying to be respectful to her.
Listen.
We trying to say.
Listen. Hold on. Who's to say that he's still doing that if he was doing that?
Because
how do we know that?
Because if you have a reputation, you was doing this while you was married. What makes you think that you're not going to do this while just dating somebody?
You're right. But at the same time, to play devil advocate, there are some people who, if they are trying to build a new relationship and they're trying to get their life on the right track so that people in Dr. Bobby Jones's camp won't be spilling their tea, then they'll do the right thing so that they won't have their tea discussed on the Scorpion Show.
We'll wait and see.
Well, listen,
I'm just asking you, how do you know that that's even still going on?
Men like that don't change unless their dicks get cut off or unless they have to.
So are you saying that? So you saying that if he and Tweet were to get married, he would never change?
I think it's gonna take a lot more time. I think that this is just too fast. My thing is you gotta look at the timeline between which he did this.
But see, I want to say it in the more.
See, that's the thing. Like I said,
I want to say it in the more nice way.
I don't know.
That's why I was just like.
So I don't know.
And I kept my opinion to myself, but I wouldn't want no one to her because she's been through a lot.
Yes.
And I want him to know that if he happens to come.
But that's what I'm saying.
If he happens to come across this video, she has been through a lot.
Right.
He has a reputation of messing around with women and getting them pregnant.
Right.
Okay? Tweet don't need that in her life. So I'm hoping that he is really serious about settling down. Plus he had all of this information about him before, and then his ex-wife gets on TV and on that show, The Real Housewives of Potomac. They got all of them children, and she's like, yeah, your dad is this and that. Like, then not only that, because Tweet is a gospel singer, is an R&B singer who can sing gospel.
Yeah.
You got the gospel community judging that too. Like, this relationship is a lot already. And then, like, is Tweet ready to be a first lady of the church? Like, it's a lot.
He's calling her the first lady already.
It's a lot going on. They need to chill.
He's calling her the first lady already.
I just learned so much because I honestly don't know much about him other than that he's a preacher. I didn't know any of this stuff.
You gonna learn.
He recently got first time on camera.
Look what happened. Yep. Look what happened.
He recently did what?
See?
What? No. What did you say?
He was in Baltimore, right? I guess he was going to.
Imagine what happens when you just be quiet and listen.
Well, you ain't done that.
I'm just saying. This is some important tea to be served because this is serious.
Yeah, so they was
serious.
They was calling the guy was like, I don't want you in the neighborhood no more. You's a fraud. You do this. You do that. He was just saying like he is just not.
Who was saying that about him?
Some guy in the neighborhood. You know how you got the local.
They come out on cameras and they go off. Yeah.
They said this to him in person.
Yeah, on camera. You're
I remember that.
And this and that. But I heard they squashed the beef or whatever. But this does not help his reputation. And I think that, you know, if he gonna be with Tweet and the Tweet gonna be with him, they got a lot of shit to work out.
Well, can I just say
this? It's a lot. Go ahead.
From what I think, what I remember is they've been dating for what, a year now?
A year probably.
So this is new to the public.
But it was new recently that he had a baby, and he was saying that God wasn't through with him yet.
Well, I don't know.
See,
like I said before,
I want to play devil's advocate.
Like I said before,
he could be a man that is
flawed. But
he is a flawed man. We all
fraud. Man.
Well, I don't know. See, you not a reputation, but you have this perception of him from what somebody in Dr. Jones is
saying. Well, not just that, but the receipts are just never ending.
Yeah,
but I haven't been on that set since last year when they started taping the final episode. This was a year ago. And since a year ago, if they've been dead for a year, this new information is coming out. They met a year ago at one of the shows.
Maybe he got the female pregnant before he met Tweet.
Look, all I gotta say is that you gotta take when you're doing so much and you seeing God is working on me, if that's what he wants to use his apparatus to justify his behavior in any kind of way, then you actually have to give time for you to be worked on. Well, you can't be getting my things that when you're getting worked on, you're growing and you're healing and developing and all these type of things. you have to take some time for yourself. So you should not, in your process, you should not allow new people and new things to enter it that you can possibly hurt in the process.
But everybody knows.
Overnight you're not going to change. So a woman like Tweet that's in a vulnerable position that's trying to heal and grow, why are you going to take her and get her caught up in your mess?
Everybody knows.
Baby mama drama.
Everybody, no. I'm sorry. Everybody knows that when God is working on you, that does not mean that you just automatically stop doing what you're doing or what you've been doing. We all have fallen short, okay? Even when God is working on us. I am a witness to that, okay? Because I fall short every damn day, okay? But that does not mean that God isn't still working on me.
Come on.
Now, your argument is, oh, well, because he's going around saying that he's a what man? He's a what man?
A fraud.
Oh, no, he's a
flawed.
God is still using me, that then somehow he's using that as an excuse. I don't think he's using that as an excuse, because I say the same thing. God is still working on me, and he is still using me for the greater of his will. But that does not mean that there are days and there are times when I fall short and I say, oh my God, or I do things and I just totally forget about God. I just totally forget about him, and I just do and get wrapped up in sin. But does that mean that, oh, because I'm failing short or falling short every day, that somehow God isn't working on me?
Okay, so then worst case scenario. What if he gets between, he's with her now,
I'm sorry, wait. No, because you brought up Tweet. I asked about me. Does that mean?
I don't know.
No, because you are making the assumption that because he's saying that God is still working on him, that somehow he's using that as an excuse.
Well, I'm saying,
isn't it true that we all fall short every day?
That's not the argument. Everybody does, but the point is the difference between making a choice to do something versus making an effort to help.
You can't
keep letting
listen. Let me just say this.
You just can't.
Sin, sin, is good.
So people keep getting
sin. Hold on, I'm not finished.
No one's denying
sin
that.
is good. Sin is actually great, because if it wasn't good, we all wouldn't be doing it. So when people try to make it seem like, oh, this, that, now I'm not saying that sin is okay to do. I just want you to be sincere what I'm saying. If sin didn't make us feel good, and if sin didn't make us feel a certain type of way when we did it, we wouldn't do it. And then we all would be walking around in a perfect world. Jamal Bryant is a man. Yes, he has the title of preacher, but he's still a man. Now, I'm not making any excuses for his behavior.
You are.
No, I'm not making excuses for his behavior.
The point.
The point that I'm making is Jamal Bryant as a man, not Jamal Bryant the preacher, Jamal Bryant the man, falls short every day. And his sin that he falls short in is sleeping with other women. That is something that God and he have to work on together. Right. God has to work on that with him, and he has to be able to trust God to work on that with him. But no, it's not fine. No. I ain't finished. Yeah, but in the meantime, while God is working on him, and while he's telling the world that God is working on him, I don't think that we should throw that in his face that, oh, because he slept with this person. Because, I'm sorry, I've slept with a lot of people too. And I'm sure you have too.
While you're in a relationship?
No, not while we're in a relationship, but I have done some things when I was in a relationship that I wasn't supposed to do. Wow. Now, if you haven't done that, then excuse me, Mary Poppins.
Wait a minute.
But I have.
But see, let me get this together. But what's funny is that what happens is so much sexism in these conversations justify what men do, because you don't look at the women. Tweet may have all the issues that she has to work on and develop on herself, but at the end of the day, this never questions becomes a woman, right? There's always issues that people do fall short. We all make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes to try to work on it. But there's a point in time where there has to be a level to which self-responsibility and an acknowledgement of that has to step in. And no one's dismissing that people make mistakes. But see, that's what people use as a caveat to justify their behavior. So I'm going to keep stepping out, but God's working on help me, work with me. People can use that all the time, but there has to be a point where you have to have some self-constraint, and you have to actually have some willpower, and you have to put yourself in environments where that you know is a pattern. Where you're constantly repeating a pattern. You have to know how to take yourself out that element. Clearly he has been in other relationships. Clearly he's been in marriages where he has had first ladies. Clearly he has had outside situations. So this is not like this is a new thing or whatever, but I'm just saying that when you're getting into another realm, another relationship with this same pattern, if you're not working towards taking yourself out of the common things that cause that, going out, flirting, putting yourselves in an environment where there's women to flirt with and all these type of little things, then I'm sorry, but you gotta, I can't necessarily keep giving
y'all both talking about two different things.
That's what I'm trying to get
at. What Mikkel is saying is, who are you to judge this man, and you don't know his relationship with God and the thing that's going on in his life.
I'm not,
and what you're saying is, what you're judging is, you're judging the character that you already know from what you've seen and what you've heard.
Right, I'm not saying
now, what I'm saying is, we both know that he has a past, and we know Tweet is coming from a past of being hurt. Now, let me say this. Before, we don't know what's going on with the man Jamal Bryant right now. We don't know if he's still sleeping around and making babies everywhere, but we do know that he has that reputation. But another thing of what we don't know is her being hurt and him coming from a path where he is just sleeping with women. You don't know what they talk about at night and how they're both helping each other. But what I'm saying is, in the meantime, I just hope that he doesn't hurt her because she's been through a lot. I'm hoping that it doesn't happen. But right now, let them be, and I would say whatever they go through, keep the shit private. Don't even talk about nothing else. Like, you've been on the show, Tweet, one time, let that be your last time. What y'all go through and how y'all help each other is your business. Okay? Shit. Who's to say Tweet won't hurt him?
But
I hope that don't happen.
I was saying that, to me, I just feel like that was what I was feeling like was getting ignored out the conversation, is this idea that...
Look at this long ass segment. This is the longest Tweet segment we've ever had.
Women, it's not about her music. I wish it was. Too much of the focus, I feel like, is on what men do and how men fall short and men make mistakes, as if women don't have the ability to also go through their own trials and tribulations and how they respond. And I feel like, despite how much hurt women do, for some reason, a lot of women strive to not hurt other people while they're in their hurt process. Some women do. But too often the benefit of the doubt is given to men for some weird, and I think that's because of the patriarchy. I think that's the way sexism is shaped. I think that's just the way that we, in the faith, looks at this stratus of how we view men versus women in these situations.
Men are providers.
But that's how it's situated in the patriarchy. I don't see things exactly that way. But I know that people do based on faith or on their religious beliefs. With that being said, in situations like this, too often men like him I've seen situations where men have yielded that power to justify the things they do based on faith. And so, coming from a Pentecostal background growing up, I'm not Pentecostal now, I'm a deist. I just believe in faith. I don't really believe in organized religion. But recognizing the history of what I grew up doing and seeing, I have seen situations where men have yielded their religious powers to justify their actions. And not saying that they said the Bible said it was okay or was right, but they have used this ideology of I'm being worked on to continue to do hurt to somebody who, even though they're in the same faith, is learning a way to practice self-discipline not to. So in other words, in this situation, we look at the prognosis and looking like this man may have a chance to hurt Tweet or cheat on Tweet. We don't know, but the chances are, based on what statistics are saying and yielding, that the chance of him doing it is likely or could happen more than she. But that's because of the way that she's set up in society where she is. She's not out here looking for ways and men other ways publicly, to what our knowledge is, to find ways to find healing. Because hurt people hurt people. So clearly what he's doing is based off of some void or some hurt or something. Because otherwise there's no reason for him to do this and feel okay about it and not feel like he's connected. So I'm hoping two things can either happen. Either one, he gets with Tweet, they work it out together, they realize, look, we're hurting together, we're trying to find healing in this crazy life, and maybe he found his soulmate, she found her soulmate. Or what may happen in the situation is neither of them are ready, or maybe she's not ready, or maybe she's looking forward to something different, and maybe he's still got some skeletons he ain't trying to work out with, and maybe he's going to do something messed up, and we're going to hear about this 6 months from now, and how this is a train wreck.
But if you need to be worked on, you got to pull all the skeletons out.
And exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that right now, you might end up in the next 2 weeks hearing about another woman. Or somebody gonna come forward, or they gonna take pictures, or there's gonna be some Instagram, some DMs. All I'm saying is that
I'm just messy people just want a little bit of fame.
But you gotta. But when you're a celebrity and you in faith, heavy lies the crown.
Well, you need to realize what's going on.
You gotta recognize that. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. He gotta recognize his power.
He does have to recognize it.
And he can't be out here. I mean, my thing is that you got a church group. You gotta do that.
He has to recognize his power.
Yeah.
But we also have to remember that he is man. And he is flesh. And flesh sins. We were born into sin. So I totally agree with what you said about recognizing his power, because he should.
Yeah.
He should definitely recognize his power and not tarnish the power that he has as a preacher, pastor.
Right, because I think people missing the fact that in the church, I get what you're saying. I'm not saying he doesn't make mistakes, but I think sometimes, you know, there is this weird balance, and that's the same thing we were talking about last time I was on the show about this influence and power. That I'm just saying that the way that he's been carrying on prior before tweet, I'm not talking about tweet, I don't know about that situation all the way, but prior before it was a tweet, it just seemed like with the actions he's having is very careless. And that kind of careless behavior out in the public and the open and reality shows and all of that just does not seem like a person that's conscientious about their power and their authority.
But if they work on themselves and get the help that they need and stop trying to do it by themselves, they can change. Because there's a lot of people, like particular, like there's this person who's, you know, who do video. That's like, it's a person that do videos. You got your YouTube circle, and you burn a lot of bridges with people, right? And then this other person comes along, and they still doing what they do, and then people like, well, you know what? I don't think you should deal with that, because history shows that that bridge is going to be burnt between y'all two, so y'all should leave it alone. But, you know, I say give it a chance. You just never know what may happen. But in the meantime, that person has to get help too. They have to get help. And if you're going to be with that person, you must trust that they are getting that help. And can't be there like, well, they already told me. Because, you know, our mind would be already poisoned by what's being said.
I'm just hoping that whatever tweet says moving forward with this relationship, if she decides to be public, but I think she should really keep it private. Like
I think she shouldn't say nothing.
But I feel like if she is saying
but
I feel like if she is saying anything, if anything is not like we are working to heal our wounds and build together, then it should be nothing else, because I don't care about anything else. Because next thing you know, it's going to be wedding engagement. It's going to be an engagement by New Year's Day. It's going to be a birthday engagement. You know how to do that. You know that. But see, he got that on the pictures. Shoot on the pictures.
The problem that I have with stuff like that, with the preacher shows. Now, I am all for you getting up there, you know, having your reality show. But this is my thing. We had a guest preacher a few weeks ago, and he was talking about the
Wait, before you say it, you know his show is a talk show. But not like The Real, but it's a but preachers sitting at a table talking about life and talking about God and things that's going on in the world.
But I'm talking about the reality shows.
Yeah,
those are the shows I'm talking about, because those are the shows that I know and I'm familiar with. Shows like that. We had a preacher who preached at my church a few Sundays ago, and he was talking about how a lot of these music artists a lot of gospel artists that when they first came out, their songs were ministering to the people. Now that they built careers, they just making any old thing and calling it gospel. And what he said was, gospel artists should never become artists, because their job is to minister through their music. And once you stop ministering through your music and you just start making anything just for a quick buck, then where's the ministry? And I feel like with these reality shows, a lot of these preachers of LA and Detroit, half the time you don't even hear them talking about ministry or the word of God. You just see them arguing with each other. And it's like, in the beginning, I couldn't understand why some preachers were so hell-bent on not watching it. But now I get it. I get it, because when you watch those shows, when I was watching those shows, I was all for the drama. Not realizing that I'm not learning nothing about God's word from any of these preachers.
I like the preacher show.
I ain't never seen so many preachers, and I'm not learning nothing.
But the reality is, look at the nation, the networks that own them. The networks aren't based on that, because if they were based on ministry, they wouldn't be in business. I mean, they're trying to argue about who
knows the Bible better, who got the
or who did this year, like who got the biggest.
But the reality is,
who's preaching God's word.
But you know what? I think those shows are interesting culturally, is because they revolve. They show you how far attached people have gotten from the word.
The word.
I mean, the reality is that they're showing these people are signed up to go on this show. And it's some of the most powerful, influential ministers in the country, and some of them in the world. And you're seeing on the television show how basically petty and benign they are on public. Like, so I think it's expose. It's expose.
That Bishop, what's his name? Bishop McClendon. I would never, ever, I would never sit under somebody like him. I just would never. His whole attitude and demeanor on that show was just like, he is all about self. He is all about getting money.
He is jostling.
That one episode that he said when he went to go visit the other church, and he said he has to get paid and his staff has to get paid. I said, what? I ain't never heard of such a thing. I mean, I would never sit under someone like him. I don't care how good he preaches the word. I can't sit under someone.
But it's happening in churches all across the country. That's the model.
It's a mess.
They said it. So like I tell people all the time, stay woke.
Yeah, you do.
And watch Greenleaf.
You do have to stay woke. You do. I watch Greenleaf, and I caught up on Greenleaf. I watch Greenleaf, and I sit there and I say,
But you know what? A lot of this stuff, you really going on.
And you know what I told one of my coworkers, I said, listen, because I was talking one day to another lady who goes to Greater Exodus down on Borton Fairmount. And we were talking about, you know, church stuff or whatever the case may be. And one of our coworkers who doesn't go to church, she's not into church, whatever the case may be, she was listening to us and she was like, oh wow, that really happens? And I said, well listen, you got to remember, church, the organization church is ran by man. It's ran by people. Okay, people get together and they bring their attitudes and their dispositions into God's house, and so that's why a lot of times you have a lot of dysfunctional things going on in church. Why? Because once a lot of people get into church, they want to play canas mas machos of who has the higher title, and I'm this and I'm that, and so therefore, I don't have, you know what I mean? And so, like I was explaining to her, a lot of that stuff you gotta be strong in your faith, because if not, when you see stuff like that, it'll scare you off, and then you'll be constantly running from church to church to church to church to church because you keep seeing stuff like that. Now, yes, it should never happen, but when you got man and flesh that is in charge of what's going on, it is going to happen, and it's unfortunate that stuff like that happens. But you have to be able to say, when I go into, because my pastor always tells us, when you come into these doors, your mind should never be focused on who's here, what they're wearing, who's doing what you're going to do when you go home. It should never be focused on that. Your mind should be focused on God, and hearing the word.
While the money's pouring in, the Mercedes-Benz is coming to the special parking lots.
Well, I'm sorry, but don't nobody at my church.
I'm not talking about church.
Not only do you not drive for Mercedes in my church, there's no special parking lots.
But see, this is the issue.
And the money, can I just say this before while you're talking? And then, no, hold on. Before he keeps talking, and the money, because let me just be clear about the money issue. Because remember, I was a trustee at my church. Now, I don't know about other churches, and I can't speak to. Well, you're saying right, but I'm saying because I know. I'm not saying you're skeptical, but I need you to let me finish.
All right. We'll talk.
I'm saying is the money situation. I can't speak for everybody's church, but I can speak for the good churches. And when you have churches out there who don't have large congregations, who are struggling, the money that comes into the church is not going into the hands of the man that's up there in the pulpit. The money that comes into the church is to pay the lights, it's to pay the gas, it's to pay this bill, that bill. Because if you don't have money coming into the church, just like if you don't have money coming into your house, how are all these things going to get paid? Who's going to wave a magic wand and pay it? So yes, you do need money to come into a church so you can keep this stuff operating and functional. Now, regards to those other churches where, like Greenleaf, where money's coming in and paying for private jets and stuff, I don't know nothing about that. I don't go to churches like that. I can only speak for the church that I do go to. And what I know is going on in St. Joseph. And that's not going on, because if it was, my black ass wouldn't still be there.
Well, it's the same thing. See, this is the destruction of it all, right? It's the same logic as that. To me, when you're looking at churches and you're looking at them as pieces rather than a whole, it's kind of like what happened to the Catholic Church. You're looking at a couple of churches that was having these scandals, became a ripple effect. And those ripple effects began to undermine the entire reputation of the entire Catholic Church as we know it as now today. And so when you're looking at churches, and I feel like any church that claims itself to be a Christian church or a church of a certain denomination, any church that's struggling is a reflection of, not only the only reflection, but it's also one stab of an opportunity. Because if it's about shepherding in people of faith and Christians and getting people to rally, then these individual churches should never look at themselves as individuals but as a family. And so when you're seeing these churches do this, there has to be a conversation about acceptability and accountability. Same thing with police officers. Okay, one city police officer, the district, may be having it on point, doing the right thing. But when you have a string of other ones that is messing up the overall representation, there has to be a conversation about accountability within these churches, and there needs to be space for people to be able to feel comfortable to speak about those injustices and that disenfranchisement, because it does exist, and too often now people just say, I'm just going to get away from the bad guy. But what's going to happen when the bad guy comes to your church or goes to another church? And I think that that's become the pattern. Is that I've seen, and I grew up down south. I was born in Chicago, but I grew up in Houston, Texas, and I also have family in Arkansas. So I've seen churches roll in, small churches that will be basically swallowed by another big church, and then their congregation become their congregation. And you will see good, wholesome people then go into a bigger, huge, like manufacturing block of a church, and then you will see money and how people, get caught up in that. Where they say, when you said, when you go in, your pastor tells you, don't worry about this, worry about God. The same logic is that they'll say, focus on God, focus on ministry, but you're seeing communities be literally, political power is coming out the church. Political power. This looks familiar. You got political power. You have big nonprofit corporations. You have these big business people. All of them funnel, sitting stacked at the front of the church, having all the wealth and capital. And yet the community they live in, the only thing that's nice on the block and the area is the church. And everything else is nice, everything is in poverty, there's crackheads on the corner. And everybody knows the reason why the church is looking nice is because that's the only institution where people actually give a damn about to put their money, invest their money in. They're not investing their money in the schools or anywhere else, because at the end of the day they believe the church is supposed to be the vessel to help steer everybody else, because they bring the elected officials and everything else. But those elected officials, they use that money, they use that clout to help funnel their fundraisers. Help funnel their own political power and support for their build wealth. And I just feel like in certain situations and districts and systems, you've seen churches be literally the city halls and the capitals of those areas where everything else begins to collect dust. And I just don't think, in my mindset, that the way that type of operation is happening, that even though you can still find a few good men, like a few good churches, that should set the model and the standard for how rich faith should be operating in this country. And that has happened. Well, and I think that it's not to dismiss faith or religion in any way, but the way in which the mechanisms to which it's being carried out, that is what my criticism is. My critique is that since when did, I'm not talking about your church. Like I tell cops, I'm not talking about you as an officer. I'm talking about the institution to which we're under right now. And just simply saying that, when I look at these places, I say to them, since when did we need all of this stuff? These reality shows, these crazy New York Times bestseller books, these jets, these television shows, these festivals, these carnivals, since when did we need all of this stuff? And so for me, I personally just believe that the way that the current institution of church is, I don't partake in it. Because I don't believe that my faith and my understanding of what God is and what faith is has to necessarily be put in an institution that does not necessarily execute and reflect the things and values that I want society to look like.
Well, let me just say this.
That's just my feeling. I understand what the purpose. I think the people that put the money in the church are mean-well, good-well people. Not all of them, but I'm just saying the people that are of faith, that do pay offering and tithes. I think that they really, in many ways, their heart is in the right place, and by all means, the money that they put in, the consciousness that they put in their money, they're not wrong. Neither is the money, the choice to give wrong, right? But at the end of the day, it's the same way with the justice system. People follow the laws that are oppressing them. People are following and paying taxes to a system that is disenfranchising them. People are investing in programs that they think means the West business, but it's hurting them. You understand what I'm saying? And I think we're putting in money, we pay taxes every year, and that money goes to mass incarceration. We're putting in money and paying tax dollars into a police system that is shooting and killing people that look like us every day. So it's not that we're not doing the right thing. We know in our mind, we think taxes is what's helping keep the lights on. Because it probably is keeping the lights on, but it's also keeping a lot of things on that we may want to turn off.
Well, this is what I'll say regarding going or whatever the case may be, because you said you don't go.
No.
Whatever the case may be. I go. Mikel Q. McClendon Carter goes. Not because I have any thought or recollect or whatever in my mind that somehow me going to church every Sunday is going to get me into heaven any quicker than you or Kevin or anybody else. That's not why I go. I go One of the reasons why I go is to fellowship with other believers in the same Christ that I believe in. That's one. The second is, when I am in the same place with people who believe in the same Christ that I believe in, that right there is power. That is power. That is power not, and I'm not talking about money power, I'm talking about power to defeat any enemy that we may come across. Because we are living in a time where there are enemies that are rising left and right. Donald Trump is one of them. So when I go to church to be refueled so that I can go out into the world and I can minister do what some of these preachers of LA and whatever aren't doing.
Right.
I can minister to those who are looking for a savior or looking for a religion or a faith, and I can minister to them and then bring them into the body of Christ. Because it ain't nothing like having the body of Christ being built up. It's not necessarily about the building or even the institution. It's about the power that we as Christians have to defeat the enemy. And I think that's one of the reasons why so many people today are turning, especially young people, are turning to Islam rather than Christianity. Because we got, hold on, I'm not finished, because I let you talk for a long time. Because we got so many Christians slamming the religion and slamming the institution, and that right there is scaring those who are not all right in the head. And so they're looking, well, why would I want to join the religion where you a Christian but yet you talking, or you believe in God but yet you talking all this about the institution? Yeah, I'm gonna go over to Islam where these people don't even speak that way. If I wasn't a Christian, if I wasn't in my right mind, I'd probably go over to Islam too, because there's so many Christians who badmouth what's going on, but yet they rarely speak anything positive. And this is probably why nowadays in 2016 we got a lot of struggling churches like mine. Why? Because people are afraid to come into it because of the notion that they've heard about churches or heard from other Christians. And that's the problem that I have, because my whole thing is, instead of saying the negative about churches, because there is negative, speak positive about it. Speak positive about how you can see all of these people coming together and worshiping the same God at the same time together. How, what does he say? When there's one or two in my name, there I am. Or something of that effect, right?
I guess, but my argument, I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying on that front, but I'm
what I just said just totally went out that window.
No.
Your ideas showed that went out that window.
It's not that. It's just that I just think that, in my opinion, that I think how I look at the definitions of fellowship, and I'm not arguing about the idea of being in power, I just think that there's other ways to do it.
Right.
Like when people talk about getting education.
There's other ways to do it, but you have not implemented it. The only thing you've done since sitting here is talk bad about it. But you haven't said what the other ways to do it.
Well, I don't identify as a Christian.
Well, whatever you identify is, what is the positiveness of what you identify?
Well, no, I'm just saying that for me. I'm talking for myself. I can't speak on anybody else. I'm just saying for me, leaving the church for me and leaving the church in organized religion. I don't do organized. Well,
I'm not talking about the church or organized.
I know that,
religion.
but I'm just saying that. And, for me, the positive is that people seek and find faith, and they find faith in their own different ways.
So you believe, but you just don't go to church.
You just don't believe in the organized, he doesn't believe in the whole church system.
No, I don't. I think that this way, I think that if we believe in God as a supernatural force, and we believe in His works and things, or His or her, because I don't necessarily designate a gender, but I do believe that if you believe in God and in that spiritual connection, that consciousness carries on with you in places where you're not. And I think that there's ways that you can have an interfaith connection, an inner spiritual connection, without necessarily having it in the most, carried out way. I think there's something beautiful about that. As a person who's got a college education, formal education, through time, I've realized many things I learned about my life and the things I learned about being a professional did not come from the traditional college system. Even though I went to college, got a 4-year degree, my sense of professionalism is shaped by so many different other ways rather than the typical go to college, get the degree. I think it's a wonderful experience. If you can go to college, wonderful. If you don't, that doesn't mean the world should turn its back on you. And the same way I feel about church. I think church is, in many ways, for some people, their way of getting that power and that source. There's an experience that they've gotten from it. But for me, how I find my way to faith and how I find my way in being empowered spiritually is not necessarily coming from the church. I think it's a great place for those who can and for those who do and those who
what made you change?
Well, just looking at just the institution, the way that it's structured. I just think that the structure currently as it is by the rules and not trying to modify the rules or change the rules, I don't feel as though that patriarchal structure of faith is inclusive or necessarily as functional as it can be, because it leads, I mean, like you said, man make error, but it's like the same way government is. The way the government is set up, by default, it creates levels of corruption and problems, regardless of whatever you try to do. So I think that trying to model those structures, if you look at the way that the church is modeled, the church is almost, historically speaking, the church is modeled after those old, fundamental European structures that was happening when they came across the Atlantic, when they came to the U.S., the way they have those hires, those indulgences, all those things. We had a historical reformation time and time again, crusades and all, changing the way the structured church is, but it's so much in that very much, dictating, there's a head, there's a leader, there's a president, there's a vice president. That whole linear patriarchal structure of the church is the same that the government follows as well. And I think that anytime you have that top-down order in any type of organization, it leads to corruption, envy, jealousy, and all the human traits that can just cause dysfunction. So for me, I
understand what you're saying.
So for me, I'm not denying. So for me,
and
I'm not denying
what you're saying.
I'm not denying.
Me and you on the same page.
Yeah, I think we can. I think that we can all have faith.
See, because earlier you was talking and I was
exactly.
But I understand what you're saying now, and I agree with you, because there's sometimes, and I'm gonna cut you off, but there are some times that I feel like, like you just said, like that whole president and vice president. Sometimes I feel like, no, we don't need all that. I understand I understand.
And I feel like on that token, if you're talking about churches being a place of equals, and it's supposed to be this, in real honesty, this democratic space of faith where we're all equal in the eyes of God, then I just don't I personally just don't believe that these structures show that inclusion. Same with the government saying we're all equal under the law. We see that there's people that get treated better than other people based on certain reasons, and we call that unfair.
You saw that at the DNC.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. So I'm seeing that with the way the church structure is that the model is that if we're all supposed to be equal, we're all supposed to be having the same access to getting to those pearly gates or whatever that case may be, or unifying, I don't feel like there should be these designations amongst humans, because when you make designations amongst people, people will take advantage of that power, because that's just the nature of man. So when that's a man, the way that we see faith structure in this country, that wasn't the way it was structured necessarily in the Bible. It wasn't this breakdown like the way they do it now. That's man dictating the order of things. And so I think that what we have to realize is that there's a difference between having faith and practicing ritual. Rituals are man-made created things. The whole structure, the first lady here, the first lady there, we gotta have a coronation, we gotta have appreciation day for the pastor. That's all things that we've made just to celebrate. And I personally...
Well, there ain't nothing wrong with having appreciation day for anybody that you appreciate.
No, I'm not saying there's wrong with that. But I'm just saying that all these functions...
Well, you are talking down.
All these functions, I just personally feel like as an individual, I'm going to keep
You don't like...
Yeah. Because you know what the definition of Christianity is.
I think I went into it. But I still didn't hear why he left the church.
Oh, I'll tell you why I left. I left because I didn't think...
Yeah, I left. You didn't like the whole...
Well, there had to be an experience. Did you have an experience? That's what I want to hear.
I'm sorry. I experienced, like, when I grew up down south with my grandmother, through the Pentecostal route, just seeing these different churches.
Lord have mercy.
It's a different thing. Just seeing the way...
You Pentecostals.
Yes. Seeing the way women was treated in ministry, the fact that there was things like women can't speak up in this. Seeing women who knew the Bible scholarly, knew it more than these men. Seeing these men, have this pulpit and do things they shouldn't, but because they was like, look at what's happening on Greenleaf. Greenleaf. That's really a good description of my experience. It's like looking at a man who the son has no reason to be over this girl.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of Greenleaf experiences in my lifetime where there's been men, there's been men and people that should have been, that's taken over slots and spaces to preach and also do ministry. And I'm seeing that the arguments about why these things are happening are not based on the faith or the religion, but on ego and pride. So I told myself, why are we playing these politics? Why are we playing these games? Well, isn't this about
the church got very political? It did from what you said.
Yes, but you know what? And I decided, I feel like the way that the structure is set up, it's no for me, the way that I'm taught and the way that I am, opinionated, I don't think it's going to...
Let me ask you some more questions.
Go ahead.
How do you find peace with God?
Personal interaction, personal talk. I feel his presence, her presence. I feel the presence.
Isn't it a beautiful thing when you feel the presence?
I feel it. I think that I've been very blessed in my life. I think that I've been given a lot of great things in my life. I feel like I've been very fortunate in my age to do as many great things that I've been able to, and I feel that presence. And those times, I feel the wisdom and guidance to make good decisions when things aren't doing too well. But there is a personal relationship, and I think that.
But can I say
that's a personal
something? Can I say something? I just want to say this, and everything that you said from a certain point, I heard exactly what you were saying, and I may not agree with what you said, but I totally understand what you said. To me, when I look at church as, the organization as you call it, going there and whatever the case may be, I look at it just like someone like you would look at college. You went to college so you could learn. You studied and you learned. And what you did in college from your education was able to get you to where you are today. Someone who was to be on the floor of the Democratic National Convention. Your college education God got you there, but you learning the craft that you learned and you being featured here and being paid by these people, your education got you there. That's the same way I look at church. I go to church so I can learn, so I can study. There's a pastor up there who's my teacher. I get taught by him. And when I mentioned refueling, I get taught by him so that I can take what I learned from him and from the church and take it out into the world, and so that I can bring somebody in.
Right.
Now,
so
just like with your school, I don't know, what school did you go to?
I went to the University of Pennsylvania.
You like the University of Pennsylvania?
I did, but I just want to say this real quick. The analogy you're saying works, but do you understand that if you use that analogy, how it also points out? In college, there's tiers of colleges. There's also the disenfranchised.
But
some colleges are good. Some colleges are good.
This is why.
You don't see what I'm saying?
No, I see what you're saying. But this is why the body of Christ can't grow. Because you took what I said and then turned it into, well, this is why. That's not what I'm talking about.
I'm not saying that.
Simply talking about you going to school and learning and me going to church and learning. I'm not talking about the different tiers of church that are good and that are bad. And I'm not talking about the different tiers of schools that are good and bad and some that are better and some that aren't. I'm not talking about that. I'm simply talking about going to a place and you're learning something that you need for your life, because your school education is helping you build your career in your life. Me or anyone else who's going to church is helping us spiritually so that we can have a better life spiritually with God. See, now, you said that you don't go to church, and that's fine. You're a grown man. I can't tell you where to go and where not to go. But I would hope that as a person of faith, that you would use what you know and the knowledge that you have in God and in faith, and you use it to encourage and to teach those out there who may be lost. Because I would hate for you to just use your college education and not use what you learned in God. Does that make sense with what I'm saying? Because it makes no sense for you to know about God and to have faith, but then you're not passing.
But I think I tell people my mentality when I say back to organizing stuff.
Because I make sure I pass it along.
Well, in a nutshell, I tell people one is to each their own, and which is what I'll say in this situation before we move to the next topic. Is that to each our own. I would say, and I will also add too is that I also add to this is more so is that it's about. I just think. College knowledge aside and all that, there's so many different ways I feel like people can get the answer. And I think that for individuals, I don't like to put myself in a position to feel as though, it's strong. The belief system is strong. People have their belief system. It's not to criticize anybody's belief system. But I believe that in my mind, there is a way that people can arrive at the truth on their own accord. And I don't think there's no function. Just like, yes, my college degree got me to the DNC, but there's some people I interviewed this week that didn't have a college degree and got to the DNC. And I think there's different ways that people will find purpose and find faith. And I think that, everybody has their own different way. I may be pro-college, somebody may be anti-college. You may be pro-go to church. I'm like pro, maybe church may not necessarily be for you, but find it in some capacity and to each their own.
I'll tell you this. Because I've been quiet.
Yes.
And y'all know I come from the Catholic Church. Okay? Now, I grew up in the Catholic Church all my life. That's all I know. But once I reached a certain age in my life, I just felt like the Catholic Church can do nothing for me spiritually. It can't do nothing for me. But what I will say, because I'm getting emotional talking about this, but what I will say is nothing like being in a church where you are there and it's like family and you are there to hear the word, and when you're there you feel that connection with God. It's nothing like it at all. And that's the experience that I get. But I have, for me personally, I haven't been able to find a church that I want to be at where I say, this is where I want to be at every Sunday. Now, when I'm in Atlanta, I do love that church. If I live there, I will go there every Sunday.
What's the name?
It's called Visions.
Okay.
Because what it does for me spiritually. Now, you could go everywhere, God is there, but it's nothing like feeling that power of everybody praising Him in that one room. Because it's all love and we're all praising God and we're all worshiping Him. Some of mine do say all the time is, God gives you a whole week. You can't give Him 2-3 hours out your day to thank Him, because you won't have to be here. Now, me, like, I can still pray to God at home, but it's nothing like being at His church. And I feel like I understand why you say all the things that you say, but you don't have to deal with that. If you want to praise God at church, you can go to church, give your offering, shake hands, and leave. You don't got to deal with none of the politics that go on in church. Because you're there.
No, I'm just saying.
What I say?
Drop your check and then.
Yes, okay. Your tithes.
We get it.
Pay your tithes and leave. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to deal with all the extra drama that go on in the church.
Right.
Because that's why I kept saying, like, why did you leave? I kept trying to.
Because you felt like there was something that made him. Because you didn't really say it at first.
Well, no, I just, for me, it you know, I think about all the different people, it's not just think about it. It's like, it's not, to me, it's not so much of an issue of not having faith. I just kind of think that it's, everybody has their purpose of what they choose to do.
Right. And let me tell you something.
And that's what I think it is. I think it's not
you
a difference. I don't think it's a difference in where. For some people, you know, it's like eating meat, being a vegetarian versus being a carnivore. I think for some people, those who have great experience, I'm happy you have a great experience. I'm happy that you.
I don't want you to think, or I don't want anybody watching this to think that I am mad that you don't go to church. No, I'm not mad at you.
Right.
I just didn't want you to knock those that do.
No, and I was.
That's what it sounded like.
But see,
you were doing.
But I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel the way he felt.
No, there are a lot of people.
But the reality about me is that, like I always tell people, you know, I don't knock people. I knock ideas and concepts. I like to talk about the issues and the topics. And for me, it's like with church, the idea about church is that I'm not arguing people that go to church. People that go to church, not run church, are two different, that's two different vessels.
Right.
I think most of my critique is more on those who are operating the church and the structures that
the politics
in the church. And I think that for people, I think that what happens, and I think Christians and people that do organized religion, whether Muslim or not, is that you got to start not being so defensive when hearing legitimate arguments about church. And the thing is that when you're involved, it's a passionate, emotional connection. You feel defensive. You feel like you have to go for gun. But sometimes I think that's what's missing also in church, is that there is not this openness. I mean, there's some churches that I know of in the city that do have more open dialogue, but in many ways there has to be in any institution, whether faith or non-faith, non-profit, doing good for the community or not, where people have to be open-minded to feel like they can have legitimate conversations about what can be done to make the church better.
Guess what?
Because if people don't do that, like what we just have right now in this room, that does not happen very often in church. Where a person who does not partake in church has a fair opportunity, and even a civil conversation, to simply say, these are some of the things that goes on. Can we agree on these things? Right now, can we agree that church, outside of the interpersonal faith you have with it, that there's politics that tends to happen in church?
Oh, you need to come to our men's breakfast, because we have these conversations at our men's breakfast.
But this is what I also want to say.
Good at the men's breakfast.
But see, the same way you feel about the politics that goes on in the church, is the same reason why people don't like to vote because of the politics and all the things that go on in the government.
I agree.
But those are conversations that still.
But you know what?
No, they need to be
Let me
had.
just say this.
I'm all about why people shouldn't. I know why people don't. I mean, I know a lot of reasons why a lot of people don't want to vote in the city, and it's not because they don't care about politics, but because they feel like the system is rigged. And in this city, when you don't really have any Republicans, and I'm not saying I like Republicans, but it kind of says a lot when you have a whole Democratic Party political machine running the city. And they pick their candidates, and you can't have no say in the candidates. Or let's talk about cities in North Philly where they tried to put a candidate up, support it, sign the petitions, and then when it was election, they didn't go to ballot.
If more people got involved, if more people that feel like you, if more people get involved about what's going on at that church, let's say like, if everybody felt the same way that you felt.
Wait, who is?
Who do you think that is?
I know that is.
Listen, as soon as I saw that picture, it just made me think of him. He started dancing. Why? Where is her mother and father?
Get her.
Because that is not.
It's these two.
I don't know. But where
she is living her life.
Yes, she is. But where is her mom
Bitch,
and dad?
After 8 years of politics,
But this is not good.
So the Republicans gonna come there and blame that on Hillary Clinton, bitch. Oh, it's Hillary's fault.
Right.
But yeah, the same issues you feel, the same way you feel. If a lot of people in the church got together and said something about it, then a lot of changes will be happening in that church. But you know, ain't nothing else
I had something else that I was say about it, but you know what?
You feel your yeah, we talked
this
for
was
2
a
hours.
good conversation.
It was.
2 hours.
And
Greenleaf, everything.
yes, this was a great conversation.
And Power, McCall and I will talk about that on Thursday because he don't watch Power.
Listen, for those of you,
Listen, I watched a little bit of Power.
Power is good.
watch Power.
It's good.
I mean, Omari, everybody.
I'm over it.
He looks good in
It's not that
any
overpowered.
suit.
I'm just
Okay,
It's not that
I need to find out who's his gym trainer and who's his
I don't like his character.
I don't care.
James
I
St. Patrick.
just don't like James St.
I was watching him last night and I said, why is it that this man looks good in every suit he puts on?
Because he has a nice body and he has his hair is always on point.
And his hair's always on point. Kevin, I told y'all, I saw him at
A suit will clean anybody up.
It sure will. Look at me. Listen.
True. No, I'm talking about myself.
Oh. Try
Sorry, I'm talking about
You've been
myself.
trying me all night.
I was talking about myself.
Listen, I saw him at Northern Liberties a few years ago. This was before Power started.
Yeah, but he was
Was this man straight in that Janet Jackson movie?
Omari
Remember that?
Hardwick.
Yeah.
That's his name, right?
Hardwick.
Hardwick or
He was in
Hardwick?
Hardwick.
Omari Hardwick looks. The way he looks on Power is the way he looks in person.
You know his wife is pretty
Now
too.
that is a man that was created by God. I saw him and I rolled the window down because I was in the driver's seat and he was on the passenger side. And I said, I know you. And he recognized that I was trying to get his name because I couldn't remember what his name was. And I said, and he said Omari. And I said, yeah, Omari. He said, oh, I said, nice to meet you. He said, yeah, nice to meet you. And I kept driving and he pulled, and I got out the car and I parked my car. I parked my car first. I didn't get out. I parked it first and then got out. And I met up with my friends and I was like, I met that guy because, you know, that was the last movie that he did.
For Color Girl.
Yeah, for Color
He
Girl.
played Trade.
And he was,
Yeah, he was Janet Jackson's husband.
and I said, oh my God, man. So then my
Right.
friends was like, oh my God, you know, oh my God, you know, where is he at? Where's he at? Lo and behold, he was walking through the plaza. And I was like, bitch, there he go. And so they called me, it was me and Neutral and Nan, I forgot who. And they called him over, and he was still rolling by himself. And he came over and he took pictures with them. And of course, I was over because I was the photographer. And when I went to go take my picture, bitch, he had to go.
So you take one with you?
No, and I was over it. Because I was the one taking it
You know
there.
what that was about.
So you know,
Yeah.
no, let me tell you what that was about.
Yeah.
Bitch, I will never be the photographer no more. Because you gonna take my picture first.
My thing is, you could guys, was that still when selfies was out or going on? Was selfies in during that time?
No.
See, because I was gonna say, what you can do nowadays is like, it's nothing. Why you're telling you can't
No,
do it,
trust
you
me,
take a
yeah,
selfie
I-
right
yeah,
now. You know what I'm
that
saying?
wasn't-
I don't play that.
Selfies
I gotta
wasn't
go.
popular at that time.
That was not when that movie came out.
Because when, they
No,
definitely was.
no.
Because this was before Power. Power wasn't even out.
So, see, imagine
Yeah,
that.
selfies wasn't
I've
popular.
seen him a couple of times at some events. I'm not too, I don't.
I think he's,
I mean, he's cute, I guess.
Get that church body money. So,
church body. You don't go to church.
No, about
don't put my listen. You don't know my position, so I don't know why you even tried it.
He don't know mine either.
My position.
He don't know mine either. But I'm just saying, you had a lot to say.
Don't ever assume my position.
Okay. Miss Church Queen, First Lady, Mother,
right,
or Deaconess.
Well, thank y'all for watching. It's too many titles for him. It's too political.
You got it.
It's too political.
I'll just the Virgil.
Listen.
The Virgin verse.
And the White House.
I'm just a virgin churchgoer.
I'm just a patsy.
Yes.
You're just a Grindr gospel.
The church.
The Grindr gospel.
Listen, if you ever see me on Grindr, you better
Grindr church. Baby. It goes on.
The Jack Jezebel.
Now listen, y'all. Thank y'all for watching. We're going to be back on Thursday because Mikal didn't like a nigga on the Rose on Power.
I did.
She should be on there. No, she should be on there.
I got it on Thursday.
I didn't like her role.
See, they gonna
I feel like there should be another actress playing that role.
She didn't
give me.
I didn't ask you that. We're going to see you on Thursday.
Regina King.
No.
No.
Not a part of my fucking head.